feedback, welcome to this week's Grow. We are going to be giving you a sneak peek into our conference speakers today, and to encourage all of you to register, because our registration will close on, for regular registration will close on March 18th, and then it will be late registration after that. So we want everybody to join us. We have scholarships available for women, for students. We've had some wonderful sponsors who have given us sponsorships, scholarships for our students. So please go to our conference registration page, which we will put in the chat and in the Facebook discussion group, so you can easily link to that. But we will get started. I have Jen Thomas with us, our co-executive director, who is going to help me introduce some of our speakers. So I will share my screen.
Rachel, before we do that, I'm a little tired today. And I actually, as I was logging onto this call, I would like to propose that we do our grows in like face masks, and maybe like, I just think we need to rejuvenate more and recharge more. So maybe next time we'll do it with like those lovely soothing eye patches.
Yes.
It's going to be a crazy year. We probably need to use our grows as a time to just
really recharge.
Yeah. Really
okay,
recharge.
Let's see if it's going to let me really share my screen.
You were doing great earlier. Do you want me to try?
Maybe. Can you see a purple screen?
Nope. Do you want to share it with me in the chat and I can try? I know it's giving you fits this morning.
It's done this to our media. When we've done media literacy, it sometimes does not like to share.
I know. I think it's a new update. Okay, let me see if I can get
it might have something to do with going live. I don't know.
Yeah. So it might help in a different place. Let's see if I can get it over here. Oh, give me access, love.
Oh. All right, you're in.
I am, in fact, in. Okay. I have to say that one of the things that's been very comforting about being on a lot of external calls for MWEG is I realized this happens to literally everyone.
That does make me feel better, actually.
It really does. I mean, it like I've seen like these crazy organizations with multi-layers of staff and they can't get this thing to work. So we're all just out here doing our best. Okay, let's try that. Let me get to it. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put it into slideshow. Okay, is that working?
We're cooking with gas. Okay. All right.
All right, Rachel, do you want to launch us?
Sure. So this year, our theme is Rise Up, Rise Above, the power of peace to transform our politics and preserve our democracy. So as with a lot of our events that we have held in the last year or so, we are focusing on peacemaking and how we can do that, especially as we are kicking off an election season. So we have picked speakers and topics that enhance that and will encourage you to be peacemakers as we go into this. So with our keynote, we have Danielle Koch-Balfour. So if you have not heard of our keynote before, she goes by Oh Happy Danny. That is her Instagram name. And she is also an author and a speaker in what would you say her exact field?
So she really does work in trying to create peace. And I'll share some of the reasons that she was so attractive to us as a speaker is that she often talks about issues of conflict in our society, sometimes issues around diversity or but she moves into them in the most extraordinary peacemaking way. And so often these issues of conflict and tension, we see people online fighting about them, but she just has this unbelievable gift of bringing hope to these conversations. And there are two things we love about her so much. The first is, as a woman of faith, if you watch, she'll push back in comments and push back against criticism, just saying that she is not willing to even dehumanize her air quotes enemies. She really believes that everyone is a child of God and deserves respect and love, even in the hardest of conversations. So we just love the way that she approaches peacemaking. And so one of the things that we've asked her to talk about is that, like, the main, I think, thrust of her conversation will be towards peacemaking and figuring out how we as believers can contribute to really tough conversations by bringing the deepest reservoirs of our faith that is grounded in love, both for love of God and love for our neighbor, and do it in a way that doesn't create, that we don't enter conflict and create more conflict, but we enter conflict and use sort of our deepest values to create peace, while at the same time moving towards kind of justice and goodness. So she's really extraordinary. I will also add that she's an extraordinary artist. She does lovely, one of the things that's great about her Instagram is she just makes all of these things both accessible and beautiful. And I'm a little bit of a sucker for that. I love the ideas, also beautifully presented. So I think you'll all really love her. And if you don't follow her on Instagram already, we totally encourage you to do that. Okay.
All right.
Do you want to do a little bit about Melissa, or do you want me to?
You go ahead.
Okay, so I hope that all of you are aware of Melissa Inouye. If you're not, you are in for an extraordinary treat. Melissa is also a person of who has a deep reservoir of faith that she just has this beautiful ability to take complex issues and meet them with love and grace and hope. And we're asking Melissa to talk with us a little bit more about the other aspects of our conference, which is basically how we can use sort of civic systems and the structures that we live in to help us build the beloved community. And I actually don't know, there are very few people in our faith who I think have such an extraordinarily really robust and complex version of Zion and the beloved community as Melissa does. And we can just promise that both of these two keynote speakers are absolutely worth the price of admission. They are really going to touch your hearts and I think change your perspective for the better. So we're just really excited to have the opportunity to hear from Melissa. She hasn't had in many ways an easy life. And I think she is a perfect example of kind of how she has tapped into the wells of adversity to just become a person of extraordinary grace and compassion. So we're really, really excited to hear from her. All righty. Oh, I did that on accident. Sorry. Whoops. Can't get it to go back. Oh. Wow, I really sped up, didn't I? Okay. All right. Do you want to do one? Do you want to talk about
Sure.
Sarah? Yeah. Or Julie.
Or I can talk about Julie. So Julie Rose, many of you may be familiar with her podcast, Top of Mind, and she has a great wealth of information. She talks about some hard topics, and she is going to talk to us about kind of what it's like to look at media with a lens with people that disagree with you, and how that is a way, how we can be peacemakers through that way, through the kind of a media lens, and through what, because like we said, we're going into this election year and there's going to be a barrage of media influences on all of us. And so she's kind of going to talk about that and how to engage peacefully when you really want to draw back and maybe disengage. So with that information. And then Sarah, many of you have maybe seen Sarah with MWEG. She is the co-director of the Abortion Talks film documentary that MWEG hosted several virtual and a couple live film screenings of that in the spring of last year. So she and her husband both are doing that, and they have a beautiful book that they, Book of Mormon for Little Saints. Is that the correct title, Jen?
Yes.
That they've put out. Yeah. And so, anyway, Sarah will be talking about peacemaking and kind of touching a little bit on the um, how she's seen peacemaking happen, using the abortion talks as a kind of as like an outline. But we will also have Brandon Keating from Unify that will come and give us some tips, I guess, or some real life actionary items that we can use for peacemaking.
So one thing that we want to point out about Sarah, and one of the things that we asked her to talk about is there are several stages to peacemaking and building a civic society. One of these steps is also really important to democracy, and that is the ability to talk with and listen to people who you don't agree with. And we've had a lot of people talk to us about the fact that that only works if you've changed someone's mind. And in fact, we would like to propose that, in fact, that's not true, that talking is better than hitting someone, and talking with someone is better than excluding someone. There are all sorts of ways that you can be a peacemaker by talking with and communicating with someone who you disagree with that don't necessarily result in coming to a point of agreement. And so that's just something that we are going to have Sarah talk with us about a little bit, and we're very, very excited about it. Okay, so this is fantastic. We've got a couple of presentations coming up that are going to focus on the beloved community, and that are going to share with you also what it means to be a peacemaker in civil society. And these two women are Ashley Fraser and Maria Steffen, and they are going to be sharing information with us about both of those things. So we're really excited to have them, and you'll hear more about them. We've got several panels coming up, and this is just going to be a great part of the conference. I'm trying to we got to move a little bit faster because I'm realizing we're taking probably too long. So what we have here are the two women that are going to talk to us about the beloved community, Zakia and Denise. We have at MWEG, one of our biggest goals is to help build the beloved community. This is an idea that we feel like is very analogous to our LDS idea about building Zion. And sometimes it's really hard for us to know how we can put building Zion into action in a political world, because Zion is a theological construct. Like, this is where, God will reign, but that isn't true now. So how do we prepare to build Zion in a space that isn't controlled by religion and shouldn't be controlled by religion? And the answer to that is truly the beloved community. This idea that Martin Luther King Jr. shared so beautifully about how we can all start now where we stand to create a society of justice and equity and goodness, and where we live up to our highest values in deep and rich community with one another. So Zakia is going to be sharing with us sort of an introduction. She was going to come and speak to us, but conflict has come up, so she's going to share a beautiful introduction with us. And then Denise Grayson, who is vice chair of our board and has also been a past root director here at MWEG, is going to give us a gorgeous presentation about the beloved community. We get asked a lot, what is the beloved community? And this session is going to be the answer to that, and you're going to walk away knowing exactly what we're talking about when we talk about it. And we have someone here to share this with us. Anita, would you like to talk a little bit about this panel?
Sure. Am I on here?
Yes, you're great.
So as I understand it, we're going to be talking about how religion can actually be a force for peace and good in a time of conflict when sometimes religion is seen as divisive. And I don't know this woman, Shima, yet, but maybe you can tell me more about her.
Yeah, Shima is a law professor at BYU, and she'll be speaking to us kind of representing the LDS perspective on this. We're really excited to have her, and we'll have members of a couple of other faith communities as well, talking about how, faith can be a positive force for good. I think we're all seeing play out an increasing tension between faith and and politics. And this is not awesome because a couple things are going to happen. One, the people who sort of try to push faith on other people create a situation of conflict and contention that means that people who are not believers kind of are going to react negatively to faith, and that will hurt all members of all faiths who are actually not interested in using their faith to control other people. So we really want to try over the next couple of years, we're working with lots of faith partners across the nation to make sure that MWEG is a voice for a pluralistic society in which people of faith are able to make a persuasive and not a coercive contribution. So this is going to be one of the great conversations that we can potentially have on this panel. Okay, I can't. Sorry, Rachel, I can't get this to advance for some reason right now. There
It looks advanced right here. So that's
good.
Did
I go back?
Caitlin.
I did it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so this is going to be another panel that we want to talk about today. We are watching, we all know, extremes sort of take a grip of our politics. And sometimes that means that people who identify themselves as in the middle or moderates are finding themselves sort of shut out of the political conversation. And we have learned in communication that there's actually a really significant role for in-group moderates to play. That means that we can play the most powerful role as moderates, not in trying to police the other side, whichever side it is, but in trying to have conversations with our own side. And so we're really excited to have Lauren and Caitlin to come, and there'll be a couple other panel members, I don't know if they're coming up, that will be able to share with us more about how moderates can play a role in kind of improving our political.
Yeah, and these two women are actually on two separate panels. So Lauren's on the one. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. We don't have photos yet of their panel members, their fellow panel members, but Caitlin will be talking about reforms that build peace and decrease polarization. So they go together.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah. So that's okay. So Caitlin will be joined with some other panel members from other. We have Farbad Faraji, I believe is how you say the last name. And we have Cindy Wilson that will be joining her as well on that panel. And then with Lauren, we have Holly Richardson that will be joining Lauren. So both of those, now if you have attended an MWEG conference in the past, you'll understand that all of them intermesh. And so even though you can't be in every session at once, as some people want to, we just want to remind everybody that if you register for the conference, either virtually or in person, you have access to recordings of all of the sessions. So you don't actually have to miss anything. You can go back and watch or rewatch if you want to listen to any of our sessions that we offer. So, and those will just be available throughout the year. So as long as it takes you to kind of work your way through each of the sessions, you can do that. So do not feel like you're missing anything, but I think you will see how all of these different topics are enmeshed in peace building for our conference.
Yeah, I just want to say, we hope that you will all join us. The MWEG conference is it's an extraordinary opportunity to learn, right? Every year I feel like I leave not only learning something that I didn't know, but just being deeply touched by the information that's shared. But more than that, it's just a really remarkable opportunity to be in community with good women. We have year after year speakers that have come to share their thoughts with us from outside organizations, have reported to us that this is one of the most extraordinary experiences, professional experiences they've ever had, just because of how the space feels, how the women that they've met felt, how it feels to be in the room with this group of women. And it really does have a very special feeling as an event. And so it's if you can join us in person, we would love to have you there to kind of feel that and experience it. And if you can't, you're going to get a fantastic, like Rachel said, a fantastic source of rich, just you're going to be fed as you go back and look at the videos. So I think that's it, right, Rachel? But we are just very, very excited to have you join us.
Yes. So, like I said, I will put it in the Facebook discussion group. Again, the link for registration. Like I said before, we do not want this to be a barrier for anybody. So if you would like to attend, we have scholarship opportunities for everybody. We have student scholarships and just regular virtual scholarships. So please consider joining us on Saturday, March 23rd at UVU. We'll see
I'm
you
just
all
going to
there.
add that this is the beloved community in action. There have really been some women who feel so strongly that this is a great experience that they have generously donated so that they just don't want women to feel strained about coming. So if this is something that you would like to do, please, come. We'd love to have you there. There are women that want you there and who are willing to make that possible. So please do join us.
Yep, it's sure to be a great Saturday. So with that, we will leave you for our grow next week, and we hope you'll join us again. See you later.